Good afternoon and welcome to another episode on my YouTube channel. Beefy here, the beef farmer, as some of you know me. This is probably my 7th or 8th installment on my YouTube series. So in that time, I think I've been posting about a month and a half, I've accrued about 500 of you subscribing, which I'm told is phenomenal for a new account. So thank you so much for the support. Today's episode is going to be a different one. Last one was llama. We've done a lot of cow videos, but this video I'm going to focus on the farm. Now you're all pretty familiar with the sort of sheds and stuff you've probably seen on the channel. The yards are a bit sort of dirty because we've got shaly yards. It all needs concrete in time, but it's all time and money. And as they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. But what I'd like to focus on that I haven't shown you so far are the fields. Now we purchased this farm in 2019. And in that time, believe it or not, I've spent a lot of money getting it to a standard where it's sort of workable and helps my business, which is basically rearing livestock, beef cattle namely. And so we're going to walk up the lane here. This is a right of way. We own the ground, but there's someone that lives up the lane. She's actually the daughter of the original farm, and she's kept the house, the original farmhouse, to this place. So we're just going to walk up this lane, because this is the best vantage point that I can show you the work that we've already done. It's kind of a bit of like a farm walk, if you like. I don't know if you can see the RTV, it's back all the way over there. There's no point in me taking that because as handy as it is, it's quite noisy, and because the exhaust is a bit broken on it, but it's quite noisy, and you know, you get to see the place a bit better if we actually walk around. So that's the plan. So let me take you up to this first vantage point and I'll show you what we've done so far. Now, bearing in mind, we bought this place in 2019. The previous owners kept sheep and they had a stud, a horse livery area. You might have noticed the stable block that we've got is very fancy, but nothing else has been done to the land. So what I want to show you from this angle is what I've done. And due to the fact that obviously it was a horsey place, they obviously didn't want too much fruitful grass because it gives the horses laminitis, you know what horses are like. So it's not a case of you can just spend loads of money and do the place up. It's got to be done section by section. And that's got to work with our rotational grazing that we've got going on. So what we've done so far is, this is the last block of fields that we did, that we reseeded, the last 12 acres. And I'll show you it now. I'll flip the screen. So you got this field here that we put in peas and barley mix last spring. And then we undersowed it with a red and white clover grass mix, and this is a result of that. Now you can see that these fields are a lot greener than those over there for that reason, because those are old lays. Okay, so this field here, this little field, the one next to it, the narrow one, and the bigger one up there, I don't know if you can see it. If I pull my finger away, there you go, you see it. You might just see there's a bit of drainage pipe up there. The plan is we'll eventually reseed the farm, okay, but it can't all be done at once because of time and costs restraints. What's the first thing I do when we start a new batch to work on the farm is we get the tree shears in, or we cut trees. Okay, so at the moment this area has been tidied up. Now it doesn't look the best at the moment because you've got these stumps, but they will grow back, or I might even get a chainsaw and just take them off to the bottom. We do leave the trees standing, the established ones, but any sort of stuff like behind me that's gone out of control, that gets taken off. Okay, now you may not see it from there, but we've already tree sheared a lot. Let me pull the active track off this. There we go. If I point you over there, you'll see we've done all the hedge lines. We've left the odd tree up, but it's all sort of hedge cuttable, if that makes sense. Whereas here there are no hedges because they've never been sort of maintained or grazed. So the plan is to fill those up eventually and put nice hedges up. So we start off by doing a new area by completely tree shearing off any trees, because we don't want any trees encroaching into land, branches breaking off, tractors catching you know, mirrors and that sort of stuff when we're doing work in the fields. But more importantly, we don't want the land being encroached by the vegetation off trees and hedges. So you've got to keep on top of it, and there's a lot of naturist people who are dead against it. Now this field is in danger of that's happening. Now you've got this gorse that's sort of trying to encroach its way. Believe it or not, we have flailed it off once, but it's still trying to make its way back in. That's a job to do, is flail it off. So once we've tree sheared, we put a fence up. All right, so there are no fences here because they were all pretty sound on this boundary here, but I'll take you down there later and I'll show you all the fencing we put in and the new gates on those fields that Fencing and Phil did for us. So before reseeding, clear the hedges, tree shear, put a new fence up, do any draining or any subsoil and mold ploughing, whatever you call it, to try and get the water moving in the fields, because once we've done a field, we want to leave it, that's it, it's done. Okay, so we know that it's been done. This has to work in conjunction with our rotational grazing as well, which can be challenging, as it's not a huge amount of land, it's a big block of land, but when you're rotational grazing, you need a sort of access point right round so the rotation can work. Last summer's challenge, because we reseeded this and put in peas and barley, this was a no access zone. These 3 fields were a no access zone to get through the farm, so we literally had to go through the top up there and round, so we couldn't quite do a proper rotation. We won't have that problem this year because this is all being done properly, but we will have to look after this lay because it is a new lay and we don't want it getting ruined. So come with me now and I'll take you to see the new fencing and the new gates we put up in that new reseed that we put in last year. There's a stark contrast between the quality of the grass here, and I'll show you over the fence here, isn't there? So while it is looking rather anemic looking, it just needs a helping hand to push on. So we'll put some fertiliser, or we might even chuck some muck on it in a bit, but we don't want to ruin the lay because it would be such a shame. But that's the first smaller field that I reseeded last year. I'd just like to add, it's obviously not cheap to do any of this. It's not workable for a lot of farmers because of cash flow, and it most certainly wouldn't be workable for us if we did it all in one hit. It's got to be done little by little. Even some years we might have to not do it, because we've got to remind ourselves we are a relatively small beef unit and it's got to pay for itself. So we're in the second field that I reseeded this year. Rather it's a bit wet at the gate here because it's quite a wet field, to be honest, but we did drain the middle of it. The middle of it's quite dry, and you'll see behind me how well it's looking. And I'll take you on to see the new fence, which we're very excited about. Now, believe it or not, I know some of you will take fences for granted. You won't think there's anything special about them. But coming to a farm that had barely any fencing at all, and what little fencing it did have was awful, right? It wasn't stock-proof whatsoever. So it's so refreshing to have tidy fences, even though we haven't done them all yet. Now, by right, we should be fencing sort of both sides of the stream, which we will do eventually, but at the moment it is a handy place for cattle to drink, although Sandy does say there's concerns about catching diseases from the watercourse, so that is something we've got to be mindful about. Now, Sandy, as I said, is concerned about the watercourse issues. There is a concern that the cattle could pick up lepto from the watercourse, from the rivers that go right through they're brooks, little streams that go right through the farm. I initially thought, having a stream going through farm is a good thing. It goes right through the middle of it, so all the fields sort of adjoining it, a boundary to it, have got access to water without having to put water in. But there is a lepto concern that she's raised, and so we obviously don't want to catch that. But at the moment, we're a bit of a loggerheads because I don't want to spend on putting new fences in to stop them going into the watercourse, and then putting pipes and proper water, mains water or spring water, borehole water in, because I think, well, there's a perfectly good stream going through it, all through the whole thing, and it's a cost thing. But her concerns are valid, and it only takes sort of the loss of 1 or 2 cows to make you realise that it is a huge hit, and I should have put the fencing up. Do you know what I'm saying? But at the moment, the risk of them getting lepto, I believe, is minimal, although she wouldn't agree. And the benefit of not having to spend that money on that piece of fence at the moment is worth the risk, in my opinion. So let me show you the new fence that we've put up, which is just behind me. You can see there's a nice, oops, there we go. I don't know if you can see it, there's a strut. I'll take you over there. We've got a lovely strut here, done properly, I might add. Okay, not notched with a chainsaw and a nail stuck in, that's proper mortised, and that's been fastened properly, anchored to the ground. And then what we've got here is chestnut wood, and it's a hardwood that is guaranteed to last for quite some time. That's who supplied all our fencing materials was Winstay. Winstay cardigan store, because I think they're the only Winstay store that does chestnut fencing, chestnut wood, and we find it's a very hard wood. They are split posts, which puts a lot of people off. People say, oh, they're half rounds. Yeah, but they're not your ordinary half rounds. They're not, I'll show you, let me show you, it'll be better. Are as thick, if not thicker, than your softwoods, okay? And they're proper solid, even though they're splits, right? You can hammer them in with 300 kilo weight on a post knocker and they don't split. At the moment, we'll see how they look in another 5 years. But they've been up a year and they look like new still. They haven't deteriorated one bit. Whereas if you put a whitewood in, it would start to show its age by now. And if you can see, but we've got this chestnut fencing running all the way up the line here. And you'll note the original fence I've left up just to show people how poor it was. Nailed to trees. I mean, why anyone would do that, I understand it's a quick fix, but it's a very lazy one. And the trees will obviously grow around the wire, and some poor sod will cut that in many years to come, or it'll fall down, we'll have to process it, and there'll be wire in there and he'll catch his chainsaw on there. But it's just not good practice, guys, is it? I'm not necessarily judging anyone who does it, because I have done it myself to get myself out of trouble. But when you're putting a mainstream fence up, right, it's not good. It's not good. You're better off, I know it's more expensive, but you're better off putting proper fence up like this, though. Yeah, solid, still tight. So the fence line continues all the way up to the top, and you can see the line between the new lay and the old lay, obviously the headland of the field, the difference. It looks like we got a mold problem here as well. That needs sorting ASAP, because we had got rid of them, but they've obviously come back. But yeah, so that's generally the idea. We cut any out of control trees, any hedges out of control, clean up, heal out, do any draining if necessary. You'll see some drainage pipe up there ready for the next time, and then we'll put a nice big fence up. Then we'll reseed, and then we can simply shut the gate on that block of land and hopefully move on to the next, which is coincidentally this piece of ground here. Let me flip the screen. That's quite a big field. I think it's about 9 acre. Very wet down the bottom, as you can see the rush. And this is the next project. We've put 2 gates in. You can see 1 gate there, and there's 1 gate up there. For the reason, we're going to put a fence line in across. We're going to split the field in 2, because it's big enough, which will enable the cows to be rotated around the farm, so they could come in through the top, or the top side of this field. They could go over there. They can go right round up to those fields by the house and the buildings. Come back, we're going to put a new gate in down there, and they can come to the bottom side of this big field and go through that gate and back into there. That's the idea, and that's the idea behind having rotational grazing in conjunction with the stabilisers, because they're good grass converter cattle. In theory, I'll let you know how it goes. Let me show you some more sexy struts that fencing Phil put in. Now, I know you won't be happy with me showing you this, because the telegraph post is on a bit of a skew, but look how well the strutted is, and it's a hell of a strong one. So yeah, I mean, you can't beat telegraph poles to use as strainers. Now, this is a good example I want to show you of a field that needs work. Look at the water running here. Look at it. Ditch has been left to close over the years. We've put the fence in, but I'm going to pull the fence, the original fence out from that side, and clean the ditch out, put pipes in here, and then we'll go down that way, put a pipe in, down to the stream down there, and hopefully dry the field up a bit. Right, I'm going to put the camera down for a sec, because I want to take you on the top side of the farm, where it's the driest, the nicest part this time of year, and it's above all of that sort of woodland over there. There's fields up there. We've got top fields, and they're all lovely and dry. We've reseeded 2 of them up there, so I'm going to take you up there before we finish the video, so you can have a look and you can see the whole farm, and the views that we have at the top are absolutely spectacular. So this stream kind of gives you an idea how much water we're getting. So this is the stream I referred to earlier that Sandy's concerned the cattle get lepto from. To be fair, her concerns are very valid. But as I say, I'm a bit of a tight git really. I don't want to spend any more than I have to, but as we say, my concerns about spending might be minuscule in comparison to the costs of getting an outbreak of a disease picked up from this water, so she does have a point. So I expect I'll have to agree with her and say, yeah, you've got a point at some point, if you know what I'm saying. But for now, we'll take a risk. But yeah, come up with me and I'll show you the top fields. Just a bit more fencing done by Phil here, behind me, in readiness for reseeding another field. Then, although the cattle, as destructive as they are, I've already decided to mess around with that. And if I remember rightly, that was from the last June or July, when we let the bull in with the cows. June it was. And he literally forced his way through that to get to some heifers. Little bastard. But yeah, when you've got cows, you've got destruction, and it's just a reality you've got to face. It's just trying to manage it is the problem. Farm walk, we're going to jump in the RTV because we've got to go right around the road and up to the top, because I simply cannot be bothered walking up the steep fields behind the house. Not sure if I spoke about my Kubota RTV 1100. Originally bought for my grandmother to use as a bit of a mobility scooter, but she wouldn't use it, and now it's coming dead handy for carvings and stuff like that. I call it the mobile carving unit. Right, we've made it up to the top fields. Now, I've been muck spreading that field, so when I just about going to finish the video, we'll just go up there. This is the middle field, this is an 11 acre field at the top here that we reseeded along with the smaller one down the bottom year before. And we had local contractor Gareth McMahon ploughing it, and we had Kia Troider then seeding it, so thank you to everyone who did a good job. The lay is brilliant, it's so productive, and it just goes to show how well things grow if you just reseed. It's as simple as that. This is short now because the cattle haven't long gone off it, to be honest. They've been on this for a little bit at the beginning of the year, so that's why it doesn't look as good as the one over there. But it will grow back, and it'll grow back well, and especially once we put some muck on it. I mentioned the spectacular views to you earlier. Well, this is them. We're exceptionally lucky, really. Exceptionally lucky, and they stretch all the way over there, and you can even see the Preseli Mountains over there. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but in person you can see it on a clear day. They're very clear, and yeah, we don't take this view for granted. It is a beautiful spot and a prime diversification location. Not pods, because everyone does that, but you know, perhaps further along down the line, it's something we should consider. Diversification is something we should all be considering if we're farming, just to supplement that income, to boost the income, to make our businesses even yet more profitable in what is frankly a very grim future for farming. Anyway, without wishing to be completely doom and gloom about it all, that's this week's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a different one. It is difficult for me to think of new things, new stuff to post about. We've done cows, we've done machines, and now we've done the land. We've done a farm walk. So what do you want me to do next? Interviews with people? I mean, fencing with Phil hasn't featured yet. I think as we've talked about fencing, we'll see how well this video does, because there's been a bit about the new fences, and perhaps it would be a good idea for you to have a face to the name, the man himself, Fencing with Phil. What a stallion of a man he is. But I'll just show you here. There we go. Gate, Phil, that gate needs hanging. I'll just show you this field here that I muck spread yesterday, and it's a 15 acre this one, and it stretches all the way down, halfway down the valley, and then it goes like a little pizza, like a little triangle at the top. So it's a fair sized field. It's one of the bigger fields we've got here. That's it from me this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I again appreciate to have all your feedback, so make sure you put it in the comments what you thought, and any suggestions for future videos, please let me know. But thank you very much, guys, and we'll catch you next week.